stumble in the dark. You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
After a dominating performance last week at the Miracle Mile in Loudon, Josh Lilly getting his defense of his title defense back on track. This week, we come to the beautiful, picturesque Pocono Mountains for round number 4 of the CleanRacing.net Truck Series. Tony Trapasso and Frank Marchese up in the booth within. Frank, hot laps underway right now, and pretty much the usual suspects at the front of this piece.
Yeah, Joey Stiers right now at the top of the timing and scoring sheet at the moment. Nathan Brown, Greg Barnett, Jacob Grant, Parker Collins up there as well. Going to be a lot of quick guys here today, but only one driver thus far has been able to put it under that 55-second bracket. That would be Joey Styres in the 23.
It absolutely would be. And, Styres has a lot of history at this track, as unfortunately they don't have... I don't have the stats in front of me, but let me see if I can bring them up. We're one race away after this week to the halfway point of the season. And, a lot has gone on already. But let's take a quick look at the point standings coming into tonight. As bring them up on the screen now. And, of course, they don't want to play nice.
These things do happen.
There we go. So Josh Lilly currently sitting atop the points, 10 points to the good over Jason Higginbottom. Adam Duff, 1 point back from Higginbottom in third. Tuck and Carey both tied for fourth. So real tight at the top of this piece.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still early on in the season as well. So you're going to see a lot of moving and shaking, guys trying to get an advantage going into the later race of this season, especially with the race we have coming up next week at a very tight Lucas Oil Raceway, otherwise known as Indianapolis Raceway Park, for those of you.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to that one, as anytime we can go to IRP, it's always going to be a fun time. But coming into tonight, I'm looking at who has wins and who doesn't have wins. Fred Garcia has won twice. Lane Holzler has won twice. Joey Styres has one win. Jeremy Morrison has a win. Evan Kinney has a win. Nate Brown has one win. And, we need to talk about the elephant in the room right now. Points leader and defending champion, Josh Lilly, not here.
Yeah, no, that is big for this series. And again, you'd mentioned earlier on him getting his championship back on track, and it's quite interesting that he gets the win last week at New Hampshire in a dominating performance, and now not here tonight's interesting schedule for Lilly. But going back to what you were saying about Evan Kinney having a win here, he is the last driver to have a win here. That was all the way back in season 5 was the last time these guys were at this track. Only 2 races in the CleanRacing.net Truck Series have been run here. Season 2, won by Brandon Lowes, and Season 5, won by Evan Kinney.
It absolutely is. His car's starting to come hot, or truck's starting to come hot and heavy out on track. Adam Duff, the Canadian running the Flyers paint scheme, going to be one of the first ones to start it rolling. Dylan Grant out on track, Kevin Becker out on track, Jeremy Moore, Jason Higginbottom, all starting to roll right now. As Joey Styres starting to roll, Greg Barnett. So looks like a giant cluster, which we usually only see this many cars out on track at the same time for qualifying when we do the Saturday AI series. Normally you see guys waiting. Well, let's take a quick look at tonight's weather conditions. As you can see it there, 79-degree ambient air temperature, triple-digit track temperature under partly cloudy skies, 115 degrees, Frank. That is going to be nothing but a greasy surface to try to get through the tunnel turn and turn 3, which are relatively flat here.
Yeah, it is going to be slick out there tonight. Guys are going to be sliding, trying to take as much track on exit as they possibly can, which can cause some trouble, especially once we get later on in these runs with guys trying to pass through the center of the corner and trying to get the advantage off.
It absolutely is. I mean, we saw last night in the SNN series, most of the time you can get away with a 2-wide situation going through the tunnel turn as long as both drivers are mindful of what's going on around them. As Duff, all sorts of sideways coming out of the tunnel turn, was in a complete 4-wheel drift. That might cost him some time, but he does have that truck pretty freed up right now as completely blows turn 3. That is not going to be the lap he's hoping for.
No, but it'll be a banker lap for him, and I think he took, after he realized what happened at the tunnel turn. He said, you know what, let's just take turn 3 wide, try to build up as much momentum, as straight line speed as we possibly can. Second lap's going to be the flyer here.
It is at that, as Evan Kinney goes second quick on his first flyer. Parker Collins sitting provisional P1 right now with a 5.516. Compare that to... Go ahead.
Parker Collins, pole winner last week at New Hampshire. Ooh, another big slide for Adam Duff coming through the tunnel turn. Oh, Dylan Graham hard into the inside wall out of turn 2.
Oh, roll up the back out, boys. Not what he was hoping for, that's for darn sure. As Nate Brown on his first flyer coming into the tunnel, coming down the Long Pond straightaway right now into the tunnel turn. And you can see just how unsettled those trucks can get. Four-wheel drift for Brown as well.
Yeah, that's exit of turn 2 is looking very, very slick here today. And it depends on, well, one, it depends on the line, and two, at least what happened with the 28. He clipped the apron through turn 2 there, and that's what unsettled the car on corner exit. As Nathan Brown crosses the line, he will go P6 on his first lap. Nathaniel Tallman up to 5th on his second in the number 50.
Joe Steyer's going to be one and done here, as he had problems on his first lap, almost clattering the wall on exit of 3. Steyer's is going to come across P2. By
about a hundredth of a second, beats Evan Kinney out. Next one to cross the line is going to be the 19 of Garrett Reese. Reese 16th on his first lap. He'll improve his time, but not his position. Jacob Grant up to 8th after his first lap.
Chris Smith in the 14 out on track right now. We were both commenting that, we both are enjoying that paint scheme, as it definitely brings back some memories. But so far, sitting 16th is the 14. See if he can improve any on this lap. He's green in the first sector. And coming across the stripe.
Up to 14th.
Up to 14th. Not too shabby, which I'm sure your OCD is very thankful of.
Jacob Grant. Oh, Jacob Grant coming very close to hitting that wall, coming out of turn 3. And he will not get the second lap in, so he will be forced to start from the 8th position.
He will at that, as we are now going to bring up the starting grid for tonight. Parker Collins for Tiny Dog Racing is going to start up on the point. He's going to be joined with Rev Racing's Joey Steyers on the outside of row number 1. Evan Kinney and Jason Higginbottom going to roll it off in row number 2. Row 3 is going to go to Jeremy Moore and Nate Tillman. Where are we? Nate Brown and Jacob Grant going to roll it off in row number 4, with row 5 going to Kevin Becker and Kevin Hayes.
John Anthony and Kenneth Pack in row number 6. Row 7 goes to Daniel Sykes and Chris Smith. Greg Barnett and Adam Duff will make up row number 8. Row 9 goes to Garrett Reese and Dylan Grimm. Jamie LaRoque and Mike McRae round out row number 10, Frederick Garcia and Austin Carey in row 11. Row 12 goes to Bryant Newingham and Rye Lewis, with Scott Wyson rounding out the field in the 25th position. Lewis and Wyson not putting times up in qualifying. They will start via their iRating.
So we are just waiting for the last-minute stragglers to get onto pit road. As
looks like Rye Lewis and Parker Collins, the last two.
Parker Collins was on the grid, and he just disappeared.
May just have had a last-minute change. Maybe forgot to reset the steering rack, maybe.
Or pull the tape.
That could be it.
There he is.
Yep, see. Nothing to worry about.
So I know the local fans are going to be pulling for that number 6 of Evan Kinney, as Yingling Brewery is about 45 minutes west of here in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. And I spent an overnight in Pottsville, Pennsylvania 1 week. But,
how'd that go for you?
There's a reason why they call the neighboring town Crackville. Anyways.
Went that well, huh?
Yeah. 25 trucks scheduled to go, 70 laps here tonight. And Frank, I did forget to look at the cheat sheet to see how many sets of tires and what the fuel fill is going to be tonight.
Fuel fill is standard, it would appear. So these guys will get the full fuel fill. It is the 3 tire sets plus 1. So 3 tire sets on the wall plus the 1 that they have on the car from qualifying.
All right. So field rolling behind the Chevy Silverado pace truck, the official pace truck of iRacing, as they work through the tunnel turn. And you know, they call it the tunnel turn because that's the access that the haulers take to get to the infield.
Yep,
there is an actual tunnel under that.
See, it's also an entrance to the infield for regular cars. There used to be
and RVs.
Yeah, and there used to be a nice little triangle-shaped, like star board back there, but it doesn't appear to be there anymore.
Well, as the field works its way out of turn number 3, the only thing that's really left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some Yingling and settle in, because it's time to get it on in the Pocono Mountains. Race fans, it's showtime!
Inside line getting a little bit squirrely on that initial start. Boy, everyone really close to each other as they go into turn 1. The mid-pack getting really, really comfortable with one another.
Still side by side throughout most of the field as they come down the long pond straightaway, leading into that treacherous tunnel turn. Collins still showing the way as Steyrs. They're doing the Indy Snake at Pocono.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to find a line where nobody else is at the moment so they could at least see the entry to the tunnel turn with people around them, as it looks as though everyone's going to make it through just fine. However, that 50 of Nathaniel Tallman on the inside making moves forward, getting past Jeremy Moore at the 24.
Absolutely, as these guys are just picking them up and laying them down.
John Anthony, a big wiggle coming out of 3 in that 0-0.
Not what he was hoping for at all. You see a little bit of damage on the right rear quarter panel of that truck, as he is falling back into the clutches now of the 14 of Chris Smith. Meanwhile, back up towards the front, battle for 6, hot and heavy.
Ooh, somebody sliding off.
That was the 0-0.
No, it wasn't. Ooh, that was the 85 of Becker. Somebody sliding further up the racetrack as well. Looked like Dylan Grimm in the 7.
Yes, it was. As we are going to go back and take a look at what happened to Becker. There you see him in that Red Bull number 85. And the truck just did not turn.
It looked like, his steering is locked to the left.
Oh, no.
Oh. Yeah, his steering got locked to the left, unfortunately.
Let's go back and take a look from the onboard. This is what Becker actually saw. Yes. This is what Becker actually saw.
Yep, you see that's a hardware failure on his end. Steering wheel gets launched all the way to the right. He has no control over that.
And into the wall he goes. We'll take a quick look at what happened to Dylan Grimm here.
0-0 did get a piece of it, and the 7 goes around, trying to get around the 0-0 of Anthony.
And there you see the 7. Anthony, yes, caught a piece of it. I saw the crinkle in that one is the 7 goes around. And, we're already into caution. on lap number 2.
Yeah, Anthony had caught a piece of that 85, and the 7 tried to make a move to avoid him. Unfortunately, the 19 was there, and he bounced off the 19, which is what sent the 7 around.
Yeah, that is definitely no bueno right now, as you can see the heavy damage on John Anthony's 00. That truck looks like it's been through a war, and we're only on lap 3.
Ooh, we got some takers to pit road early. Evan Kinney to pit road.
I would dare say this is going to be fuel only.
Yeah. A lap and a half under anger, lap and a third under anger, really. A lot of guys coming in to top off.
Top 7 stay out, make that the top 8. Jamie LaRoche does stay out. Ry Lewis getting some track position as he stayed out.
Top 11 staying out here.
I see that now. And it looks like Evan Kinney going to win the battle off pit road. Jeremy Moore going to come out right behind him. Jacob Grant, Chris Smith, Nate Brown. And yes, fuel only for everybody that did come down pit road that was not involved in that little incident. Except for Austin Carey. He took 4 in fuel.
Probably a mistake on his part.
Yeah, probably forgot to uncheck the tires, but Anthony, Reese, Grimm, and Becker all down pit road. So all 4 trucks involved in that little incident trying to get some damage repaired here. Now the good news is, under pacing, we're looking at about a 2-minute lap. So they should be able to get quite a bit of damage repaired, except for Becker, who unfortunately put the radiator through the engine block.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. So early in this race, too. Also, Nathaniel Tallman losing a lot of time on pit road there. He came in and ducked immediately to the pit boxes. Once he got to pit road, sort of slowly coasted, so don't know if he was adjusting something or what have you. But that's why he is as far back as he is right now, running in 18th when he was right around the top 5.
Now, the biggest thing that Tallman's got to worry about now is race control dinging him with a penalty, because they did ding a couple guys last week at Loudon for using too many pit boxes.
Well, no, he wasn't trying to get into his pit from there. He was coasting, clearly adjusting something, and then when he took control of the truck back over, he jumped back out into the lane and then went through from there.
As the lights go out on the Chevy Silverado pace truck, Collins, Stiers, Higginbottom, Hayes, Pack, Bennett, Sykes, LaRoche, Lewis, and McCrae going to be your top 10 as we turn them back loose. Top 11 not going down pit road. And those who did, most of them only took fuel. So wanting to save those fresh meats for a little bit later in this run.
Evan Kinney, Jeremy Moore, Adam Duff, and Nathan Brown coming back down pit road again. So they've put themselves in the back, topping off one more time.
Well, I mean, the good news is they are going to be able to catch the field without much of a problem. And they're going to be able to get off cycle of everybody else. They're going to be able to pit 5 laps later at least. So field working its way through the tunnel turn. Stiers on the top side. Collins with the control on the low side. And restart zone rule is in effect tonight, Frank.
Yes, it is, as it will be through all of the major ovals. Next week at IRP, it will not be. They do not have a restart zone as far as I can remember.
They do not, because the top 3 divisions don't run there anymore.
Mm-hmm. But every other racetrack we go to, Michigan, Richmond, Kentucky, Daytona, and Darlington, they will very much so have the restart zone enforced.
As the pace truck gets ready to peel on off, coming out of turn 3, there it goes. Collins leads him into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. Collins and Stiers pull the trigger almost at the same time.
Waited as long as he possibly could in that restart zone. We just see these guys fanning and moving out.
Oy.
Oh boy, the 18 and 23 almost coming together going into turn one. That opens the door for Jason Higginbottom in the 44.
It does at that, as Stiers was pinching down on Collins going into one. Collins trying to break the draft of Stiers, but the thing is, Stiers has the drafting help on the top shelf as the 51 of Hayes works to the inside of Barnett. Barnett and Hayes still side by side through the tunnel turn. Good grief.
Very close there by Greg Barnett in the 38, but those two able to get through the corner the way they needed to. Kenneth Pack right there as well in the number 12.
And yellow flag is back out, and I don't have it.
Looks like Scott Wyson in the 72. There he is backwards in turn 3 on the access road.
Well, let's see what happened to Wyson here. There you see him in the 72. He's on the top side, almost 3 wide.
And again, double zero.
Gets into Fred Garcia in the double zero, nowhere to go. Catches another race car to the face.
Turned down like Fred Garcia in the 94, wasn't even there. Just came pulling right down on that 94.
We are actually going to go and see what the eye in the sky saw on this one. There you see Garcia back a little bit. The 72 up on the top shelf, working the outside of Jeremy Moore. Here comes the 7. And Garcia just got a better run going into 3, and the 72 didn't realize he was there when he was trying to turn in.
72 was really slow going into turn 3 for some reason.
He lifted very early. It looks like he was trying to stay off of the 24 or more.
He was pretty well off of him, though, by the time they got into 3.
Well, let's watch that again. I think it might have been the 7 spooked him, because the 7 was coming up like a freight train on his outside. There you see the 7. He sees the 7, does not see the 94. Spotter doesn't say 3 wide, you're the meat. And around goes the 72.
He was clear by about a half a truck length off of that 24 by the time he ended up letting off. That was a very early let off by the 72 there.
It absolutely was. Do need to thank our good friends at the Ringside Report for all your MMA and combat sport needs. Ringside Report can be found on all of your favorite podcast streaming services. So working caution number 2 here at Pocono. Parker Collins, Joey Stiers, Jason Higginbottom, Kevin Hayes, Greg Barnett, Kevin Pack, Rye Lewis, Jacob Grant, Dan Sykes, and Jamie LaRoque rounding out your top 10 as we currently sit. As of right now, Kevin Becker, the only one to put it on the hauler early. So of the 25 starters, only 1 retirement to speak of so far.
Nathan Brown, Frederick Garcia leaving pit road. John Anthony in the double zero sitting on pit road right now trying to repair more crash damage.
Brown just took tires.
Yeah, he did.
Brown just took 4 tires and topped it off with fuel. Not sure how good of an idea that is going to be, considering you're only laying 3 in the pit. And we haven't had that many laps under anger yet to really need tires.
Interesting decision for sure.
Very much so. Is take a quick check in on our weather. 2-mile-an-hour wind, so not that bad here up in the Pocono Mountains. Track temperature still 116 degrees, actually up a degree since we had qualifying. So let the games begin.
This is going to be the hottest part of the day as well. We're just past 1:30 p.m. in sim time. So the track is only going to get hotter from here. Evan Kenny back in, Jeremy Moore back in, Adam Duff back in.
I would expect
John Anthony.
I would expect fuel only for just those guys.
Yeah.
And You are correct. John Anthony just barely beating the pace truck off pit road. Again, welcome to round number 4 of the CleanRacing.net Truck Series. Tony Trapasso, Frank Marchese up in the booth with you tonight. And I might add, Frank Marchese, ESBN and SRM Employee of the Month. Congratulations, sir.
That was unnecessary, but thank you.
No, it absolutely was necessary because, you're one of the hardest working men behind the scenes here at the company, putting together a lot of the overlays that we use, scheduling the races on our YouTube channel. Frank, I'd be lost without you.
Thank you for reminding me about the overlays, by the way. I still have 1 or 2 I need to do.
Well, still.
Completely forgot until this moment. Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome. Happy to be of service.
Yeah.
As we get ready to turn them back loose, field working its way into turn 3. Parker Collins going to have the trigger one more time. Frank, take us back.
Coming through turn number 3, Parker Collins and Joey Stiers in the front row. Jason Higginbottom and Kevin Hayes in hot pursuit in row number 2. Pace truck coming off. Bottom line, stack it up a little bit here for this restart. Early in the restart zone this time, Parker Collins gets clear of Joey Stiers. We're back to racing.
Absolutely. Collins wanting nothing to do with Stiers as here comes Higginbottom and Hayes up through the bottom lane as they were getting some pull off of Collins. Stiers going to throw the block on Higginbottom going into 1, still side by side. Ken Pack working his way up through the pack. As Rye Lewis up there as well. Lewis up 17 from where he started, using a little bit of pit strategy to gain some spots.
Lewis starting in the second to last position by virtue of not qualifying in that number 20. Has gotten his way back up. 45 of Jacob Grant looking to his inside. That's for 7th.
And you see Grant peeking as Lewis giving him plenty of room. Lewis, though, able to use that top lane to his advantage, get the better run down the front chute here at Pocono. One of the longest straightaways that we are going to see this season.
There was a car stopped on the front stretch. It's
Jamie LaRoque
in the 15.
Oh, boy. What happened to Jamie?
I only saw a different car stopped on pit road on the front stretch, honestly.
Well, we're watching the 15 of LaRoque.
Oh, he gets turned by the 50 of Tallman.
No, he got turned by the 4.
Well, he's got the 50.
Oh, being scored as the 50, yeah. Again, this is why we don't let tech officials drink before handing out the transponders. So we are now working caution number 3. We are going to step away, pay a couple quick bills, and we will be right back.
Drivers that took time, all of them within 3.5 tenths of each other tonight is going to be a very closely competitive race.
As the field worked its way out of the 3-4 complex, the only thing that's left to say is wipe the visor, adjust the 5-point safety harness, because race fans, it's showtime!
Amazing looking cars already. Green flag will fly.
Oh, they're wrecking! Well, one thing that you're going to see at this track that we haven't seen the last few weeks is a surface that's multi-group. I think this is the first multi-group surface we're going to have.
After an amazing race at Daytona, we now come to the left coast and Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California for the second round of the Way She Goes Racing League Cup Series.
Under caution for the third time today here at Pocono, working lap number 13. We've completed all but about one full lap under green flag. Conditions here in the early stages of this race. Parker Collins has led from start to finish thus far. Everybody except for Collins, Higginbottom, Kevin Hayes, Rye Lewis, and Daniel Sykes, the drivers who currently occupy the top 5 running positions, have come into the pits to either repair damage or take on fuel. A couple have taken one of their 3 sets of tires. But right now it looks like we are at 2 to go, Tony, before we go back to green flag racing.
It helps if I turn my mic back on, doesn't it?
There you go.
So Parker Collins gonna lead us back here as he is down on the apron. Looks like he might be trying to save
fuel in the pickup, maybe, I think is what you're going for.
Yeah, sorry about that. Going into fuel conservation mode right now. But due to some pit strategy, Rye Lewis up into the number 4 slot. So
started in 24th, did not qualify. Has not pit yet in that 20. And again, it's for the guys that are pitting right now, it's about fuel. It's not about tire. Again, we've only run about one full lap under green. We've done parts of several others. But it's really, tire wear is not the issue right now. It's definitely that fuel.
Oh, it absolutely is. And anytime you can get an advantage at a place like Pocono where it can be difficult to pass at times, you need to take it. So if you could stay out a couple laps longer in that pit window, that can pay dividends. I mean, we've seen guys get caught multiple laps down because of pit strategy.
It certainly can't hurt to come into pit road maybe a little bit early to try to get yourself at a little bit of an advantageous strategy, one that may be off sync from guys that might be a little bit quicker than you.
It's all about playing the mind games, and I've had different friends of mine who were growing up playing sports. They never really. I always hear, I don't get it. Why are you so interested in racing? I'm like, well, it's for smart people. You wouldn't understand.
Sometimes you do have to win with the brain instead of the brawn.
Absolutely. Of course, these are the same guys that all throughout high school would pick on the guys that used to play D&D. They're now elbow deep in fantasy sports. No, they're now elbow deep in fantasy sports, which are D&D. All fantasy football is D&D for jocks.
I would agree with that. As we come through turn 3, set to get this race going underway yet again. Starting lap number 15. As we do, the 18 in control once again. Had a late start in the zone, had an early start in the zone. We'll see what he does this time. Green flag is back in the air. 20 goes. Nobody else around him does. Collins with the 51 of Hayes all over him.
Collins definitely has Hayes all over him. This Higginbottom getting a good run on the top shelf. Going to slot in behind Collins as Hayes pushes the 44 up the track through 1. Higginbottom able to keep his foot in it, though, and keep it wound up.
Higginbottom had the momentum on that outside line, the 51, chasing that truck all the way up the hill. Pushed in so deep going into turn 1. A big move by Rye Lewis. Swung up to get into the turning lane. in turn 2 a little bit too late, turned himself out of the corner.
Lewis had to take a shot at it as Hayes was a little bit sketchy down the long pond straightaway, left the opening. But right behind him, Dylan Grimm and Dan Sykes going after each other as we got one into the wall.
Daniel Sykes and Evan Kinney both having a close encounter with that turn 3 wall.
That could have ended a lot more poorly than it did, as your top 3 starting to get away, or top 2 anyways, as Hayes has to deal with Ry Lewis still, as that is Evan Kinney all over the back bumper of Dan Sykes. Goes to the inside down the long pond straightaway. Sykes going to have the drafting help off of the 7 of Grimm. Side by side through the tunnel turn. Are you sure you want to do that?
Beautifully done by the 6, though. Got it right up to the wall on the outside. Used every inch of ground that he could on corner exit there. Again, he knows how to win here. He was the last one to do it in this series, but then again, there was different tire models, different trucks then.
It was at that.
They're the same.
As we are now watching the 23 of Joey Stiers. Picked up 3 positions on the restart. Does have the fresher shoes, but as you mentioned, Frank, tire shouldn't be that big of an advantage yet.
Not necessarily. It depends on how hard you push them when we were green. As Parker Collins still trying to break that draft away from Jason Higginbottom in the 14. Those two have broken out to over a second lead over Kevin Hayes. Ry Lewis right there. Dylan Grimm, with how much damage he has on that number 7, is right up there in 5th position, giving Evan Kinney all he can handle. Kinney with a big dive going into turn 3.
Toyota on Toyota Crime coming through turn number 3. Side by side, not banging fenders yet, but definitely putting the pressure on each other. Give the advantage to Grimm as he's got the drafting help off the 20 of Ry Lewis. But Kinney still hanging with him and hanging strong. Kinney going to send it going into turn 1.
That line, if you remember, what was it, late 2000s, early 2010s, when they repaved that strip in turn 3, it opened up that outside line and it allowed you to carry so much momentum on corner exit. That's exactly what the 7 was doing right there. Took that higher line. Sure, it's a longer way around, but you're able to straighten out that wheel and keep that momentum up, which is what allowed him to keep the position at the time. Kinney's gotten past him, and now looking to the inside of Ry Lewis in turn 3.
Kinney definitely knows how to get around the tricky triangle here in Pocono. And again, it's going to make the locals very happy to see that Yuengling Lager into the top 5 now, as he does have a little bit of distance to make up on Kevin Hayes with all that battling that was going on back there. Hayes steadily drifting off the back of Higginbottom and Collins, as Collins starting to pull a little bit of a gap on the 44 of Higginbottom.
Yeah, Collins is starting to get away a little bit. Hayes is starting to catch the 2 in front of him. Oh, big moment there for Joey Stiers coming out of turn 1. May have gotten too good of a run on the 45 of Grant, had to back out of it. Oh, contact between the 24 and the 69. Nathan Brown, big save.
Definitely a Code Brown moment for Brown, as the 38 of Barnett going after Moore right now. U.S. Air Force and the POW trucks going hammer and tongs as they come down the front chute. And don't look now, but here comes the 28 of Adam Duff.
Duff looking solid. He's one of the guys that's put himself towards the back with constant fuel stops during the early cautions. Kevin Hayes with that 6 of Evan Kinney all over him. Kinney, fastest truck on the track, only truck on the track in the 55-second bracket still, a 55.9. Compare that to the next quickest car, which was Joey Stiers in the 23, a 56.2.
And the thing to keep in mind as well, Stiers and Grant both came down on lap 12 for tires and fuel. Kinney came down on lap 8 to do the same thing.
Kinney all over the back.
Battle of the beer wagons.
Absolutely.
Who are you rooting for? Are you a Yingling fan or are you a Budweiser fan? Let us know in the live chat.
Interesting part about this is the front pair are slower than the second pair. Higginbottom, the slowest of the drivers in the top four that last lap. Kenny, the fastest.
Well, Kenny is right in the slipstream of Hayes. So, definitely playing the advantage right now as Stiers has gotten clear of Grant. Grimm up into the wall in the tunnel turn.
That's 7. I wouldn't be surprised with how much he's gotten into the wall and gotten into trouble here early on. It may feel fine on fresh tires, but once the tires start to wear out, he still hasn't gotten that truck really corralled the way he wants it yet.
He has not. That's for darn sure. There's Adam Duff making some headway now as he's working on more. Sykes goes to the inside of Rye Lewis as side by side from about 7th on back.
Quantum of Conscious in the chat highlighting the 38 of Greg Barnett, saying he put Denny and Kyle's tape on his truck. Check him post race. Oh, the 20 of Rye Lewis found himself in the wall in turn 2.
He absolutely did at that. Hemorrhaging spots now is the 20.
He was really slow coming through there. Boy, it comes down right in front of the 69. He's coming to pit road.
That could have ended all sorts of poorly had Nate Brown not checked up, but Brown now falling under attack from Austin Carey. Brown really had to check up.
I think the result would have ended the same. He would have ended up on pit road. I think it's just the direction in which he was facing when he got there would have been the only difference.
You are not wrong, sir. As back up towards the front, battle for third, hot and heavy, side by side through the tunnel turn. As Hayes on the top shelf, Kenny just full send it, getting it done. And here comes Joey Stiers on the 51.
Joey Stiers, again, during practice, the only driver to go sub 55. Did a 54.96. Did that 23, so he has a lot of pace in that truck, and the tires that he has also compared to everyone else around him doesn't hurt either.
Very true. As Stiers and Kenny have already come down for one pit stop, as that's a beautiful thing, that long shot down the front straightaway. They were doing the Indy Snake from about 7th on back.
If that was Jeremy Moore in exactly 7th position in that 24, gets out of turn 1 a lot better that time than Daniel Sykes in the 66. Down Long Pond straightaway, the 28 of Adam Duff all over the 66 of Sykes. Doesn't peek out to make a move though.
It didn't peak just yet, but they are definitely giving each other all they can handle. As it looks like Greg Barnett and Chris Smith and Greg Barnett going after each other now. Down the front chute, Ford on Toyota. As Barnett looks to the inside and the 14 runs him down the track.
Tommy Stuff 1 in the chat also going for that 38. Is the 38 now going for the 14? That would be for the 10th position. 38 of Barnett has that 14 up the track, but the 14 has the momentum coming off the corner, and he'll be able to maintain that position. Keep the truck wound up is going to be the name of the game here tonight if you want to make a pass. As Joey Stiers, speaking of making a pass, Joey Stiers has gotten around Evan Kenny for third.
He has at that, as we are going to go back to, there is that little battle going on still. Kevin Hayes may have gone too hard too soon, as he is severely drifting back right now. But Stiers has a 2.25 seconds to make up on Higginbottom. As you can see, Higginbottom on the exit of the corner as Stiers was coming into one.
As far as the drivers that have not come into pit in any way, shape, or form during this race, currently sitting first, second, fifth, and eighth. So it's not a big drop-off for those guys. It's certainly not going to help them, but they're not running drastically slower than the guys who have come into pit. Joey Stiers came in most recently for Tires and Fuel. He did a 56.6 the last time around. Parker Collins a 56.67.
Well, we saw that coming down the Long Pond straightaway. Dan Sykes, who has yet to come in on fuel, Adam Duff, used the 00 as a pick to get by Sykes, and that put Sykes back into the clutches of Chris Smith.
Smart move. Use that lap car to your advantage. 50 of Nathaniel Tallman in. The third time down pit road for the 50 thus far. Side-by-side battle between the 51 and 45 for fifth.
It's Grant on the top shelf, Hayes on the low side, as little bit of tail wag for both of them going through the tunnel turn to get it collected back up. And Frank, a little bit of trivia about this place. This place was modeled after 3 historic tracks that you see a lot of action. 2 of which, one of which still does. One did up until a few years ago, and one has been defunct for about 20 years now. Do you know which 3 tracks those are?
Would it be Trenton, Indy, and Milwaukee?
And do you know which corner is which?
In order. Trenton, Indy, and Milwaukee.
There you go.
Turns 1, 2, and 3.
Learn something new every day, kids. Never stop being a student of the game. As there is the 38 of Barnett, Sykes, and they've got Brown for company. That is your battle for the last couple of spots in the top 10. Actually, the last spot in the top 10 is Barnett has it. Sykes and Brown are going after each other like 2 kids in the back seat of a minivan on summer vacation.
Nathaniel Brown really hasn't, after getting bumped by the 24, really hasn't gotten those positions back as quickly as we would have thought he would have. 69 to Brown does have a very good truck under him. However, the ability to move forward has eluded him, as Parker Collins, up at the front, just noticed, he's out to a second lead over the 44, the 23, and the 6.
He is at that and starting to stretch that ever so more. As speaking of Moore, that's Duff and Moore going side by side through turn 2. Duff on the top shelf, Moore on the low side, and Duff is continuing his climb through the field as both he and Austin Carey at +9. Duff running in 7th, Carey up to 13th.
Yeah, Duff was all over the back of the 24 last time down the front straightaway. And finally got a good enough exit coming out of turn 1 to be able to make that move, as here comes Chris Smith in the 14 on Moore in the 24. 38 of Barnett right there as well.
Barnett has reeled those guys in front of him in very quickly over the last couple of laps. As I dare say within the next 10 laps or so, we should be seeing the first round of green flag pit stops.
Now negating the top 4, Barnett, fastest driver on track that last time around in 10th. Slower than everyone in the top 4, but faster than everyone else around him.
You are correct.
Boy, that was a big wiggle there by the 28 coming out of the tunnel turn, allowed the 14 and the 38 of
He's
Barnett
got a tire down
around him. He might just have that, or he just blew the quarter completely.
Well,
a big moment.
I mean, you hear 3 wide, you kind of try to give room. So the problem is, though, he got caught in those marbles, and that's definitely not where you want to be.
He caught the apron. He caught the apron and then caught the wall.
Oh, boy.
Coming out of 2, which is why he was so slow.
has a better run down the Long Pond straightaway now as he is side by side with Moore, and Moore getting pushed by Brown.
Watch the tunnel turn, you two. Brown backs well off.
Wise move out of the 69.
Parker Collins continuing to run away. Fastest car on the track that last lap at a 57.11.
Yeah, you take a look at what the tire fall off is doing to these cars, Frank. Best lap for your race leader, 55.7. Last time by, 57.08. So quite a bit fall off.
Joey Steyer's now up to second, but he is not far off of what Steyer's has been doing. As a matter of fact, he's been pulling away from that 23. Now, part of it might be the 23 being stuck behind the 44 of Higginbottom, slowing him up a little bit. But the tire advantage, it would appear as though it is scrubbed away. It's about even now.
Which you would expect, considering, we're 32 laps into the event. Steyer's was last down to lap 12, which I still think was a little early to be taking a set, but he's going to be behind the 8 ball at the closing laps of this race, where Collins and Higginbottom and Kevin Hayes are all going to have that extra set for a late race caution. Steyer's and company don't.
Well, for Parker Collins, he might not be looking at that. He might be looking at a one-stop here. If we can get cautions, we had 3 cautions in the first 10 laps. But Parker Collins right now has been leading this race from start to finish, and we're only a couple laps away from halfway. So if he can somehow figure out a way to work this truck and get a couple more cautions, he might only need a one-stop to get through to the end of this race, just on one stop here.
Well, we got some big battling going on towards the latter part of the top 10. That's Barnett getting clear of Chris Smith in the 14. And Barnett has just been setting sail. And Duff has gotten by Nate Brown.
It's interesting. Ever since Quantum of Conscience had mentioned the tape, that 38's been moving up the race, moving up the field. So we may have to pull some of that wrap off. I don't know.
He absolutely is, as he is +8 right now. But he's still not our biggest mover. Our biggest mover is back there in 12th. That is Austin Carey, who's now working to the inside of Moore. And they've got Garrett Reese right there with him.
Austin Carey, that Falcon Tire number 22 truck, that truck still looks pristine. Kenneth Pack in the 12 there, and then you go back to the 19 of Garrett Reese. He's 7 seconds off of these guys. Mm-hmm. Damage on the right side of that truck from the first incident that brought out the caution.
As looks like
0-7.
Looks like the 66 of Sykes going to be the first one to flinch and come down pit road, as he is now down and away after pouring fuel.
Came down pit road a lap ago. Joey Steyer's slowly reeling the 18 of Parker Collins in. They both ran identical lap times, 57.46 last time around.
And, that's the disadvantage to Collins, because being out front, you don't have anybody to pace yourself against. And it's very easy to burn up your equipment, as Grant and Hayes have not given up on each other since they've found each other.
Yeah, these two have been battling quite hard over these last couple of laps. Parker Collins and Joey Hayes all the way down to the pit wall, trying to break the draft off each other. The 50 of Tallman had gone around. He was able to get to pit road. Was able to tow it to pit road before the caution came out.
Yeah, that truck looks like it's been through a war already.
Hit the wall coming out of turn 4, pulled off to the inside wall, the short straightaway. And before the caution could come out, towed it back to pit road.
did at that.
Evan Kinney still unable to get around Jason Higginbottom in the 44.
I don't think he's really pushing the envelope too hard right now. He knows,
especially with Higginbottom coming in.
There you go. He knew he had the fuel advantage, and he's just hanging it out there right now. Same thing goes for Stiers, as Stiers knows he has the advantage over Collins, even if Collins is 3/4 of a second to the good.
51 of Hayes coming down pit road right now. Parker Collins, the only driver that has not come down pit road in any way, shape, or form yet in this race. That might be part of the reason why Stiers hasn't been pushing, knowing that he's going to inherit the lead here at any moment.
As we're watching the battle for 6 right now between Nate Brown and Chris Smith. Brown has been on a steady charge to gain spots back after falling deep in the field early, as Austin Carey is now into the top 10, and Collins takes a pit side that gives the lead of the race over to Joey Stiers, who has a pretty sizable gap, 2.5 back to Evan Kinney.
Made it 37 laps on that one tank of fuel. Again, granted, there were 3 cautions in that 37 laps, but still, that's more than halfway. If he can possibly go the distance on one stop, it'll be an incredible run, from the 18 of Collins.
Absolutely, and I don't think anybody else on track can lay claim to being able to make it from here. Maybe Garrett Reese. And possibly Kevin Hayes.
Yeah, Hayes and Reese, there's a chance. Higginbottom as well. Boy, that 19 has made a wild move to try to get around the 38, and that throws the 38 off going into turn 3. That'll allow Nathan Brown to get to the inside of him for 4th.
Battle hot and heavy right now, as that is Barnett on the top shelf, Brown on the low lane, drag race down the front straightaway. And this place is no stranger to drag racing, as they do a lot of roll racing here throughout the year to supplement the track's income.
Absolutely. But 19, again, not for position. So he is a lap down after earlier incidents. Meanwhile, just behind that battle we were watching with Brown, Smith, and Barnett, Kenneth Pack leading a little group right now. Adam Duff in the 28, Austin Carey in the 22, Jeremy Moore in the 24 in that group, 7th through 10th.
Absolutely. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about when I say roll racing, when we're done with this broadcast, go over and check out Street Speed 717 on YouTube, because he comes here quite a bit with his exotic cars, and they, just as the name entitles, they roll around coming out of turn 3, get to a cone, and first one past the start-finish line wins.
So rolling start drag racing, effectively.
Exactly.
Jacob Grant, Chris Smith coming in. 45 and 14.
Higginbottom and Collins going after each other right now. That's going to be your effective race lead right there. Battle for
Collins.
top.
And that's Collins getting the position back on Higginbottom. Higginbottom, by virtue of coming in about a lap or so sooner than the 18, is now the 44 coming back on the 18 again. Boy, big slide through the tunnel turn for the 44. Great job of saving it, though, as Collins was going to get the position back. Austin Carey comes down pit road, but still side by side between the 44 and the 18. Great racing here between these two.
This is insane. I mean, if you would have told me we would be seeing side-by-side racing as much as we have seen tonight here at Pocono, I would have told you were crazy.
It certainly has been quite a run that these guys have put on. And all the while, these two, even though they're battling, still catching on the lead by the better part of a second and a half a lap.
As Brown now brings it pit side.
Nathan Brown from third, Jeremy Moore.
Craig Barnett goes pit side.
Jeremy Moore on the back of Adam Duff. Now that's a battle inside the top 5 for fourth.
Duff up 12 from where he started, currently running in fourth. Moore giving him a little bit of pressure now. No pressure from behind, though, as Mike McCrate is 11 seconds behind these guys. Make that 12 seconds now.
I was just going to say, we haven't spoken much about that 8 of McCrae.
The Canadian driving the nuclear banana.
Having a very quiet run is that 8, just trying to stay out of the way. Evan Kinney coming in pit road. That was from lap 8 to lap 41. Now, Joey Stiers was really going to be... Stiers is going to be the key on how long some of these guys can go, because Stiers, there has not been a caution since Stiers came in for fuel and tires. So if he can make it to lap... Well, he's there. No, it's... Collins and Higginbottom can make it the rest of the way without having to come in again.
They should be able to.
It's going to be on the 38. It's going to be on the 23 to try to catch these two and pass them on track. That's what he's going to have to do.
And we saw it last week. Kinney left it too late to try to reel in Josh Lilly at Loudon, and Stiers is coming in now.
Yep. So Stiers trying to cover off the 6. That will give the lead to Adam Duff, who I believe is coming down pit road this time. He is. So the battle for third between Collins and Higginbottom, which is still very entertaining and very close, is now going to become the battle for the race lead.
It is at that, but right now Collins in control. We're going to check back a little bit later in the field. That is Rye Lewis going after Austin Carey. Little Toyota on Toyota action back just outside the top 10.
Carey coming into pit on lap 40. Rye Lewis last came into pit on lap 22. So Lewis is going to have to come in again, especially rubbing the wall in turn 3 the way he did just then. He will certainly need to come in. Joey Stiers back on track. He comes out side by side with Evan Kinney. Kinney will make up darn near 2 seconds on pit road. He will take that 4th position.
But the tire advantage right now is going to go to the 23 of Stiers. He and Kinney, no stranger to working around each other, though. As they are working their way. 1 lap tire difference, but they are working with their way around the 00 of John Anthony. And Anthony has just been through the ringer here tonight. I mean, caught up in 2 incidents that he was not at fault at. And, unfortunately, it's just the way she goes. As Kinney and Stiers just flat getting it right now, as they are quickly reeling in the 51 of Kevin Hayes, who was down about 6 laps sooner than either of them.
8.5 second gap between this trio here, the 51, the 6, and 23, to the 18 and 44. That is the length of the Long Pond straightaway, as the 94 has a big moment right in front of these 3, able to save that truck. Now the 6 of Kinney looks to the inside of the 51 of Hayes, to the outside of the 94. Contact, both of them stay straight somehow, and Kinney comes away with the spot.
Garcia immediately bails down pit road. It's going to let Kinney get up into third. Stiers all over him, and I take that back. Garcia did not go down pit road. He just bailed out to get the heck away from those crazy animals.
Towards that pit wall, but a very advantageous and aggressive move by Evan Kinney. Knows he needs to stay ahead of that 23. Tried to get a lap car in between the two. Unfortunately, didn't work.
It did not at that, but you can see just how far they've gotten away from Hayes in just half a lap, as Parker Collins and Jason Higginbottom are still 8.5 seconds up the road from this battle for third. And I dare say if I'm Kinney or Stiers right now, I'm looking at the relative and going, okay, we need to work together to reel those two in.
Yeah, they are. We'll see what they do this time around here. Top two did a 56.59 and a 56.65 last time around. This time, Kinney and Stiers, a 55.73 and a 55.77, a second quicker. These two are.
And they are starting to reel those two front runners in, as looks like Sykes is going after Brown again.
Daniel Sykes in the 66. At 14 of Chris Smith right there as well.
That is 6th, 7th, and 8th running stem to stern. Pulling a little bit of gap on the 14 right now, though. As getting back towards the front, Stiers goes to the inside, just throws it, full send mode going into 3. Kenny lets him go as Stiers, tired of looking at that Yingling sponsorship on the tailgate of the Toyota of Kenny.
6 might have gotten caught up behind the 00, slowed his exit out of the tunnel turn just a little bit, which allowed the 23 the opening that he needed, because the 6 of Kinney is right on him.
He is at that, and we know Kinney knows how to win here. Stiers has won here once, but it was a while ago.
You know, Kinney's won here once. Only 2 races have been run here.
You're right. Yeah. Brandon Lowe's and Evan Kinney both have wins here.
Brandon Lowe's in season 2, Evan Kinney back in season 5. That was
the
we
best.
Think of season. Go ahead.
The best Stiers has had is a top 10.
And we think of season 5. That was so long ago. No, it was just last April. April 12th of 21.
You're absolutely correct.
Season 5, so
these guys do 4 seasons a year. Much like iRacing does.
Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis next week. Only 2 races have been run there, season 2 and season 10. So a heck of a lot more recent.
You are correct, as Dan Sykes has fallen to Chris Smith and has now fallen back into the clutches of Austin Carey. Looks like about a 7-lap tire advantage for both Smith and Carey, as Sykes in that Hoonigan 66 is starting to fade back.
Sykes came in on lap 33, Carey lap 40, Smith on lap 39. So quite the little difference.
Carey getting the better run on the top shelf, coming through 3 down the Long Pond straightaway. Has the drafting advantage for Chris Smith in front of him. And that's going to force Sykes to crawl back and file in right behind him, as now the 12th of Ken Pack starting to reel him in as well.
Kenneth Pack, he came in on lap 42, so later than any of the drivers in front of him. Certainly should be able to get around the 66 with relative ease here. And I wouldn't be surprised if he gets it done by the end of this lap.
Well, we're about to find out as they're going into turn 3. Still side by side. Sykes given plenty of room. Going to slot back in and duck in behind the 12 and get the toe down the front straightaway here at Pocono. You are watching the CleanRacing.net Season 12, round number 4, presented by the Ringside Report Network. Tony Trapasso, Frank Marchese up in the booth with you tonight for this one. And Frank, we have seen a ton of action, and we're only at 20 to go.
It has been quite an entertaining race here tonight. As it's only going to get better because, again, we got the guys battling for the race lead. The pair for third was Stiers and Kinney. Those guys came in about 5 laps later than the two in front of them. They've already made up 4 seconds. They have another 4 to go. And they have gotten well away from the 45 of Jacob Grant, who's chasing them down in 5th.
They are at that. As right now we're watching that battle between Collins and Higginbottom. Collins led a good majority of the early going of this race, as Higginbottom is +2 right now, so still on a steady climb. But your biggest mover is the 22 of Austin Carey, mired back in 8th right now, as he is doing battle with Ken Pack.
+14 for the number 22 is watching Collins and Higginbottom go after each other here. They're not doing each other any favors. One, they're wearing each other's tires out, trying to fight and trying to break the draft and moving and shaking all over this racetrack. And they're also allowing the 23 and 6 to just slowly and steadily catch them by about a half a second a lap.
As Higginbottom throws it to the inside, that's not what Collins was looking for. Higginbottom's going to get the clear off of one. Collins going to cross him over, coming down the Long Pond straightaway. Drag race heading towards the tunnel turn, as Collins going to now slot in behind Higginbottom and try to get pulled down into the tunnel turn.
Yeah, Higginbottom, a very good dive going into turn 1. Very successful at that, as Collins was way down on that bottom trying to cross him over.
Collins just bound that truck up a little too much coming out of turn 1, and that really gave the advantage to Higginbottom, as now we're going to be 17 to go at the stripe. Higginbottom, Collins, Stiers, Kinney, and Grant, your top 5 as they currently sit. Next closest battle on track, other than this one for the lead, is going to be back here. That is the 14 of Chris Smith, the 22 of Austin Carey, and the 12 of Ken Pack, as 2 Toyotas and a Chevy doing battle.
Higginbottom currently running in the lead, looking for just his 3rd win in his CleanRacing.net Truck Series. Last season at Kansas, he picked up win number 2 on his career. Prior to that, I'm still going back. His first win, we're still going back for it. Can't go much further back. So I'll get back to you on that one.
Well, we're watching right now, and you can see where Higginbottom is lifting, as the graph at the top, just above the numbers, shows the throttle input for the 44. Not quite at full throttle, it's still nursing it. Finally gets up to full tilt, backs off going into the tunnel turn. And, you know, the one thing I've seen, Frank, nobody's shifting here.
No, and for these trucks, you wouldn't expect it. And by the way, I will amend what I had said. Higginbottom's last win was the opener this season at Chicagoland. Kansas was his first win on his CleanRacing.net career.
All right.
So I'll amend myself on that.
As we go back to watch this battle for 7th, Austin Carey has it. Ken Pack wants it. Chris Smith right there within striking distance as well. 15 to go here at Pocono. And we've got a ton of racing coming up this week, Frank, as we've got a triple header on store for tomorrow night. That's going to open us with the AARL Truckers Feed America Cup Series. Round number 2 from Atlanta. That'll be an 8:20 Eastern Time start on that one. Then we go to the Rickman Tech Cup Series, round number 2 at Darlington. That'll be an 8:45 start on that one, followed by the Western States Racing League Nightcap, round number 4 from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And you're going to be on track for that one tomorrow night, correct?
I will be, yes. I'm expecting to, at least, unless I get a last-second call. But I should be on track for that, yes.
Checking in with our battle for fifth right now. Jacob Grant has it. Nate Brown looking to the inside, going to send it going into one. Little Toyota on Ford Crime as Brown has the preferred line. Grant going to slot in behind him, but never give up at the front of this piece. And the bad news is, because Higginbottom and Collins have been battling with each other, Stiers is now within a second of them.
Yep, Stiers has definitely caught up at a rather alarming rate of knots, as he's also gotten away from the 6 of Evan Kinney. Kinney now a second and a half behind Stiers. We spoke about what was on the line for Higginbottom, his third win. Parker Collins looking for his first here with this series. So that 18 certainly is going to be pushing in the last 14 laps here to try to get himself a win.
He has absolutely had the speed all season to win. He's just had so many self-inflicted wounds and getting caught up in other people's dumpster fires. The luck has not been on Parker Collins' side.
It absolutely has not, as Joey Stiers, meanwhile, we're talking about guys that are looking for their third win, looking for their first. Joey Stiers, most wins in CleanRacing.net Truck Series history, looking for number 20 if he could pull this win off. And right now, he's looking darn near labeled for it right now.
And he's also looking for his first win here at the Tricky Triangle.
Yes.
Regardless of the outcome right now, with 12 to go, Higginbottom just has to finish this race, and he's going to take over the points lead from defending series champion Josh Lilly, who unfortunately had some family issues going on, could not make it tonight.
That 18 made a big dive to get that race lead. The 44 pushing him right through the exit of turn 1. Parker Collins back to the front. Joey Stiers now looking to the inside of the 44. 44 looks to the inside of the 18. Dummies him, goes to the outside. Can't quite get to the right rear quarter panel. Does Higginbottom. Both of them pushing up out of the tunnel turn. That opens the door for Joey Stiers in the 23.
Stiers pulls alongside of Higginbottom, hauling it off into turn number 3. Stiers looking to get a twofer as both Collins and Higginbottom give him plenty of room. Stiers with the nose out front. Drag race down the front straightaway. Collins with the advantage on the top shelf, able to carry more speed down the front chute. Give the lap to Collins by about half a truck.
If that would have been Collins, you're 100% right. Boy, now Higginbottom trying to make the run, and he will as Collins goes way up to the wall. 3 wide for the race lead going through 1. Stiers with a big moment on the inside has to back out of it. Collins with the momentum on the outside is going to maintain the race lead. Boy, but Higginbottom still right there.
Higginbottom going to send it going into the tunnel turn to the inside of Collins. Collins trying to use the momentum on the top shelf. That's going to check up Stiers behind him, as now Collins starting to pull away at the front of this piece. We're going to be 10 to go at the stripe. And Frank, if you would have told me we would have seen 3 wide stick here at Pocono, I would have told you were a liar before I just saw it.
But that was exactly what Joey Stiers needed. While he may have almost wrecked the truck, he did the most important thing, which was split those 2 up so he could pick off Higginbottom and then go after Parker Collins instead of trying to get them both in one shot or try to get them as they battle each other.
And he is at that, but all that battling has let Evan Kinney now start to get into the mix. As,
Kinney was about 2 seconds off the back of the 23 of Stiers before he got into this top 2. Now he's a half a second off.
Stiers in the slipstream of Collins right now as they go into turn number 3. Stiers is going to look to the inside. Collins going to defend on the top lane, carrying a bit more momentum. Stiers gives him plenty of room coming off the corner. Drag race to the stripe. It'll be 9 to go. Give the lap to Collins by half a fender.
It's that outside line, the momentum on that high line, able to work. Stiers, though, going to have to dive it in really deep to try to get the run here. try to slide up in front of the 18. He's got the clear, but the 18 is going to have the run going into the tunnel turn. Is he going to be able to make a move?
And the answer is a definite maybe, as he does look to the inside. Stiers cuts him off.
Great defense there by Stiers. He moved to the inside, took the inside line away, but only moved about 3/4 of a lane down off the wall.
Goodness.
Only moved about 3/4 of a lane down off the wall going into the tunnel turn, killing any chance for Collins to try to take to the outside going through the tunnel turn. A great run of action right here. The 66, by the way, Daniel Sykes running 14th, not for position.
Not for position as Sykes came down pit road. And, oh,
wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Incredible, aggressive racing.
Another coat of paint, they both would have been in trouble. And Higginbottom's just sitting back there going, go ahead and wreck each other, boys.
Yeah, just give me something. Higginbottom now with the bump draft on the 23.
Pushes Stiers to the clear, has to back off. Here comes the 66. Lap truck could play a factor in this one.
And not in the way we're used to seeing. That lap truck's moving forward.
He could, but he could break up the momentum that Higginbottom has, as now Kinney has caught Higginbottom. The 66 bails out, doesn't want to be that guy, as Joey Stiers now with half a second to the good over Higginbottom, who's a half a second to the good, or Collins, who's half a second to the good over Higginbottom. Higginbottom now having to deal with the 6 of Kinney.
66 does the sporting thing and allows the 6 of Kenny to get into this battle. Kenny is racing for position. The 66 is not. Let them go. Let them race.
Something's wrong with Higginbottom.
Yeah, Higginbottom very slow coming out of turn 1.
Something is wrong. You know, we're gonna go on board because I think he did hit something earlier. Oh yeah, there you can see it. He's trying to save fuel.
He may have realized now. He came in a lap before Parker Collins. However, Collins has had that 44 in front of him most of this run,
which was the smart thing to do, letting Higginbottom be the, and I use this term with all respect, the fuel pig, and punch the hole in the air for him.
Got 6 laps to go?
6 to go as they come into the tunnel turn again. Joey Stiers able to keep that truck wound up to full song, as the 66 of Sykes trying to get his lap back the hard way, as he is now closing in on Collins. Kinney has fallen off the back, as he's now almost a full second to the arrears of Collins. Collins going to let the 66 get to his inside down the front straightaway.
Now, the reason why the 66 has the pace that he does is Sykes came into pit back on lap 55. So he's only got 10 laps on his tires compared to the guys around him that have about 15 to 20 on theirs. Or pardon me, 20 to 20, 25 to 30 on theirs. My bad.
And we are also going to go on board, as we do have a GoPro on the helmet of Collins. And we're going to see just how much he's having to try to save right now.
Stiers has gotten out to a 1.2 second gap over that 18. He's trying to save, but
he's not clutching.
Yeah, no, he might be trying to save by rolling it a little bit more, but he's not like actively trying to save. Like, he's not in desperation mode,
right?
In the same way that the 44 of Higginbottom is.
Right. You are absolutely correct, sir. As Kinney has now caught Collins, and this is your battle for second, hot and heavy right now. And he can't really save with the pressure that Kinney has given him.
Just to Higginbottom, by the way, going into turn 1, he had clutched it at the 3 marker and was on the clutch until about 3/4 of the way through the corner. Same thing in the tunnel turn. He clutched it at the 3 marker and then let it roll pretty much all the way through the tunnel turn before he got back on the gas.
3 laps to go. Joey Stiers showing the way. This battle for second, and you can see Stiers just how much of a lead he has. About 8 truck lengths to the good, as Collins and Kinney separated by about a truck length between them. As Nate Brown has now gotten by Jason Higginbottom. Higginbottom has got to be desperately low on fuel right now, as Nate Brown just passed him like he was stopped.
Yeah, Higginbottom is no longer racing for position. He's racing to try to stay on the racetrack and not have to come into pit. That's all he's concerned about right now. He's not worried about what positions he might be losing. He's worried about just staying on the racetrack and not having to come into pit again, losing even more time.
Battle for second starting to heat up as popsicle sticks go in the air. 2 middle fingers up from the flagger as Stiers shows the way. Collins and Kinney just going after each other for second right now, as we've only got 5 miles to go here, Frank.
Stiers looking very good right now to get his 20th win on his CleanRacing.net Truck Series career. Parker Collins 3/4 of a second away from getting his first. He's starting to pull away now from Kinney and starting to close the gap just a little bit on that 23 of Stiers. He might have been saving a little bit, thinks he's got enough. Now he's going to really start to push it. He's closed in about a half a second just this lap.
He has at that, as the 17 getting down and out of the way quickly. As now Kinney starting to reel in Collins again. This is going to be a 3-horse race for the final lap. White flag in the air. We are racing back to checkers.
I think that lap truck might have messed with Collins there a little bit, because he was within about 3/10 of Stiers, and then he fell all the way back to about 7. As now here comes the 6 of Kinney, looking to the inside.
Kinney looking to the inside, going down the long pond straightaway. Gets going to slot back in line. 2 lap trucks in front of them. They're not racing for position. The 66 of Sykes and the 8 of McRae. That is for position between the 2 of them. As McRae get down out of the way, lets the battle for the lead happen. Coming out of turn number 3 with a full head of steam as Kinney gets by Collins using the lap truck as a pick. Collins is out of fuel.
Yep, Collins is out, but coming to the line, Joey Stiers will win here at Pocono, round number 4 of the season. And for Stiers, it will be his first win of the year.
And his first win here at the Tricky Triangle, one of the tracks that has been the bane of his existence in his CleanRacing.net career. Finally gets one here in Pocono.
And you're right, Parker Collins did run out of fuel coming to the line.
Just barely limping it across.
Does hold on to that 3rd position, though. So Stiers, Kinney, and Collins, your top 3 finishers.
Absolutely. But what a race we saw from the drop of the green, Frank. As, you know, just all 3 of those guys just put on an amazing show. As, let's see here. We're going to put him there.
And speaking of drivers that were running out of fuel, Jason Higginbottom, a lap short, finishes 13th spot, not finishing this race.
That's a heartbreaker right there. But Frank, I believe you've got the man that just got the Pocono monkey off his back now with you.
I do. Joey Steyer's first win of the season, and a great one at that. Talk us through that battle with about 5 laps to go between yourself, the 18 and 44.
I was just really trying to manage my tires there at the end. I knew I had a little fresher tires than Parker did, and I think it was who else was up there?
Higginbottom.
Yeah, Jason. And Evan was on the pretty much same strategy as I was. We were a lap different. He pitted 1 lap sooner than I did, and I knew at the end if I just kind of managed the tires, I'd be all right. But when I got out of the pits and I saw them like almost 10 seconds in front of the field here, I was like, I don't know if I can run them down, but I sure was running them down like a second a lap, and I was like, all right, we might get there. And these trucks, it's one thing catching somebody, and it's another whole thing passing. So I figured we'd get up there. I just didn't know if I'd get around them, and somehow that was some crazy 3-wide race, and we ended up getting around them and getting the job done today.
You made it a lot easier on yourself, even though you may have made that little mistake going through turns 1 and 2 on the bottom of 3 wide, but you split those 2 up. How much easier was it to try to pass each one of those guys individually as compared to trying to take them both on at the same time?
It's definitely a lot easier. When I think it was after the tunnel turn, I cleared Jason, and it really set me up to pass Parker. It's really hard to get a run and pass 2 trucks at the same time, so one at a time is definitely the way to do it, and it definitely paid off today.
Now we go to Lucas Oil Raceway, a short, flat racetrack. We were there just a couple of seasons ago. What are your thoughts going into Lucas Oil next week?
I love IRP, and last time we ran there, I think I got the pole, and then I pretty much got wrecked out of the race, so I really didn't have the finish I wanted. But it's one of those real fun short tracks that I wish they would have never stopped going there, and I'm excited to see the Truck Series to end up back there this year. So I think it'll be fun.
Let me just take a look here really quick. Yep, that was a pole at a 15th place finish, 3 laps down for you back in season 10. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate your first win of the year?
Yeah, I want to thank the guys in my Discord tonight. As always, I love having them in there, talk to throughout the race. Fred for putting on the league. You guys up in the booth. Bree at home, thank you for watching. I know you were watching. And son-in-law Josh, we actually dropped him off at band camp this afternoon, so that's where he's been out tonight.
Okay.
He couldn't race, so he was at band camp. I had to make sure to tell everyone.
There's so many jokes I could make right now, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, we're going to be nice. So Joey Steyer's, your 20th win on your career here with the series, bud. Congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
And joining us now, driver of the Yuengling Brewery Toyota Tundra number 6, Evan Kinney. It's safe to say that you definitely know your way around the Tricky Triangle.
Howdy, boys. Yeah, I like this track. Wish I had a little bit more speed, but overall it was a good day considering not quite the best strategy I had, but I think it was kind of working in my favor there for a bit.
Well, it absolutely was. You gave us some spots early with that pit strategy, dumping in fuel under the early cautions. Do you think you left it too long when you finally did come to pit, or do you think you timed it just right?
No, I had it just right. Based upon my math, I knew Parker and Jason were going to run out, and I believe they both did. So I knew I had to stay out as long as I did. I probably could have come in 1 lap sooner, but I didn't want to chance it and run out, so I just stayed out 1 extra lap.
Fair enough, but we completely go to a different spectrum of racing next week as we roll into Indianapolis Raceway Park and Lucas Oil Raceway. Your thoughts going into that event next week?
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this track. I think if Parker, Joey, Jason, Josh all wreck out, maybe I'll have a chance, and then I'll have to wreck Nate, still get the win. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, there you go. Got to do what you got to do, right?
That's right. Anything for a win.
Absolutely. But Kevin, who do you need to thank before we turn you loose?
Just my Brownie Racing boys for always helping me get prepared. Fred for putting on the league and doing a great job with it, and you guys for broadcasting. You guys do a great job.
Well, it was our pleasure, Evan, and best of luck to you next week at IRP.
Thanks, guys.
And Frank, I believe you've got the man he just edged out, came up just a little bit short on the fuel mileage with you now.
I believe I do. Parker, you did a great job to make it to where you only had to do one stop. How much fun was it battling, though, in those last 10 laps between yourself, the 44 and 23?
It was pretty fun. It was, I think, more stressful than anything because I was trying to battle them and also try and make it to the end on fuel. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Those guys raced super clean. It was a ton of fun. Just missed it a little bit with the strategy. I didn't think. I thought we were gonna have at least one more caution that would set us up for the end and kind of put everybody back on the same strategy. But I just didn't feel like hitting that early with how few laps we had on our tires and losing track position was worth it then. And looking back on it, I wish I had taken that gamble, but we just came up just a little bit short.
Were you surprised at how quick the guys, the 23 and the 6, were able to catch you guys? Because you guys had about a 10-second lead on those two by the time they came out of pit road, and within, say, about 10 to 12 laps, they were right on you. Did it surprise you how quick they got up to you?
Not really. I knew they were gonna catch up to us pretty quickly. I mean, I was just trying to maintain the gap between me and 44, just try and save fuel and tire while I can, because knowing that they were going to come and just save everything I had there for the very end.
We head to Lucas Oil Raceway next week. What are your thoughts going to the short track?
Not too sure. I don't think I've ever raced there before. I may have done a couple of rallycross stuff there, but never anything in a stock car or anything like that. So it'll be fun. Did well last week at New Hampshire, so same type of track in a way. So hopefully we can take some things that we learned and did there and translate that to IRP.
Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just all the Tiny Dog Racing guys. They did a good job this week preparing for the race, and came up just short of another win today. But we'll go on next week and try and get it up finally.
All right, your third place finisher, Parker Collins. Bud, congratulations.
Yep, thank you guys.
And Frank, that puts us with another one in the books. And bring up the finishing order here. There it goes. As we just heard from Joey Stiers, Evan Kinney, and Parker Collins, 1, 2, and 3. Nate Brown coming home in 4th. Kenneth Pack running in 5th. Jacob Grant, Austin Carey, your biggest mover, plus 15, coming home in 7th. Jeremy Moore in 8th. Chris Smith in 9th. Greg Barnett in 10th.
Now, 11th place goes to Kevin Hayes. Daniel Sykes comes home as the last car on the lead lap, running in the 12th position. Jason Higginbottom again runs out of fuel on the final lap, does not finish the race. Mike McRae and Rye Lewis, your top 15. Garrett Reese, John Anthony, Frederick Garcia, Bryant Newingham, and Adam Duff, your top 20. Scott Weissent, Nathaniel Tallman, Dylan Grimm, Jamie LaRoque done after 11 laps, and Kevin Becker's race lasted all of 1 lap and 1 turn.
So that is going to do it for us here tonight at Pocono. Be sure to join us tomorrow night for the AARL, the triple header actually, AARL Trucker Street America Cup Series, round number 2 from Atlanta, the Rickma Tech Cup Series, round number 2 at Darlington, and the Western States Racing League, round number 4 from Indianapolis. For Mr. Frank Marchese, this is Tony Trapasso. Thank you so much for making us a part of your evening. I'm just going to remind you folks that as you walk down the road of life this week, don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.